Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 2018 DVD and Blu-ray Collection Overview. Alrighty, so today we're going to continue our look at the sci-fi and fantasy section. We've got quite a mix this time. We've got my Steven Spielberg section. We've got a bunch of franchises based on cartoons. We've got some young adult fiction adaptations and some alien invasion films. So let's check them out today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Okay, so kicking off the Steven Spielberg collection, I pulled a few box sets off the shelves just to include here. First, but most definitely not least, is of course this one, the E.T. gift set. Now, I actually did a video about this a long time ago. If you search through my videos, you can find it. Stuff's falling out all over the place. Okay, so what do we got here? We got a film cell, or a film frame. Very nice. And this is the 20th anniversary edition, basically. So we actually have an insert for... This is actually an insert for the soundtrack, as the soundtrack is included. We have a certificate of authenticity. Very nice. And then we have... This is one of the reasons I keep the gift set, actually. We have this beautiful hardcover book all about the making of the film. And then finally, inside, we have this lovely sort of foam frame, keeping it all nice and safe. And we have the movie itself. Hold on a second, I'm just going to move this out of the way here. There. So we have the movie itself in this lovely... Oh, hi! How's it going? It's very shiny pack here. Now this is notable in that it does include both cuts of the movie, so it actually has the original 1982 version and the 20th anniversary so-called walkie-talkie cut, which Spielberg himself has kind of disowned since. The Blu-ray edition only includes the theatrical, and then it includes the soundtrack CD as well, and a whole bunch of bonus materials. And yeah, this is a really, really nice set, I have to say. And if you want a little more detail about this and just my E.T. collection in general, well, just look up E.T. in my videos and you can check it out. So I'm just gonna put everything back in there. Gotta have the ribbon underneath the book. And hold on. There we go. Very nice. Certificate of authenticity. And then the other stuff, and there you go. And it all just kind of sits in. It doesn't like magnetically lock or anything, so I usually keep it pinned between two other sets of some kind. Alright, then next up, this was actually sent to me by Stoudman many years ago. Not directed by Spielberg, but presented by him. We have Taken, which is basically an alien abduction story. It was a miniseries back in, I don't know, the early 2000s somewhere. But, yeah, the original plan was we were going to watch this together because he really likes this a lot and wanted me to see it, so he got me the DVD set. And, well, we still haven't got around to it. One of these days we will. And look at that, the color scheme actually goes kind of nicely with the E.T. set, and similarly shiny there. Alright, and next up, I guess his first foray into alien encounters, we have the 30th Anniversary Ultimate Edition of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I did a little video about this a while back, too. This is really nice. This includes all of the different cuts of Close Encounters, as well as, you know, all kinds of cool stuff. I'll just give you a quick look here. So we actually have a booklet that it comes with. Very nice. Lots of behind-the-scenes photos in there. Very cool. This is such a beautiful movie. I like to revisit it periodically. But great stuff. And then here we've got basically the movie in a digipack here. So what do we have here? So disc 1 is the original theatrical versions, the 1977 original theatrical version, the 1980 special edition, and the 1998 director's cut. So you have all 3 cuts there with seamless branching, and then you've got a second disc of special features. But the cool thing about this is it actually gives you this fold-out index, which on one side is the poster. It's quite nice, the original movie poster. And on the other side, it actually gives you a complete index to all the differences between the 3 cuts. What's the same, what's different, what was changed, and all kinds of cool stuff. So really quite a definitive edition in many, many ways. And I love the fact that not only does it give you all 3 cuts, but it gives you a definitive look at the differences between them. So rather than just saying, this is the extended one, this is the shorter one, or whatever, they actually go to great lengths to explain the differences between them. And each one of the cuts has something the other doesn't. So they are all slightly different experiences, and every single one of them is worth checking out. And then here we have Indiana Jones, The Complete Adventures. Soon to be incomplete, actually, as I understand there's a 5th one in the works. So this is all 4 of the Indiana Jones movies, the original trilogy, and then the recent Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And nice hard case there. And the packaging, it's alright, I guess, but it's basically, so you get like it's kind of done like a book, but it's like thicker pages. So you get all this beautiful artwork inside, and then the discs are actually in cardboard. It's kind of in these sleeves, really tight and hard to get out. Thankfully they're Blu-rays, so they're hard to scratch. There we go. And then Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade, and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Yeah, between Spielberg and George Lucas, I mean, those are the 2 directors of my childhood, essentially. Like, almost every major movie franchise that came out at the time was by one or the other, or, as in this case, a collaboration of the 2 of them. And, yeah, they really defined so much of my childhood as far as the movies that I watched and so forth. I mean, the Star Wars movies and everything, Indiana Jones, and then, of course, E.T. This is the Digibook Blu-ray edition. Very, very nice. This is such a beautiful film. So we got the DVD edition and the Blu-ray. And again, as I mentioned, this is strictly the theatrical cut. It does have some deleted scenes and whatnot, and some additional scenes that were from the 2002 cut. And again, we have yet another booklet here, just some beautiful full-color pictures, really nice matte finish on the pages, and just a really nice edition. When this came out, there was a few different versions you could get. There's kind of a standard edition in a keep case with a slipcover. There was a steelbook edition, and then there's the Digibook. I like the Digibook the best, so that's the one I got. And then we have Jurassic Park, the Ultimate Trilogy. I got this for a steal. This was in a bargain bin for $20. And basically, this is it's a DVD-sized steelbook, but it's actually the Blu-ray editions. Well, actually, it's both. It's the DVD and Blu-ray editions. So we got Jurassic Park, DVD and Blu-ray, Lost World, and Jurassic Park 3. So at the time, the 4th one had not come out yet. So very nice. To this day, I still have not seen Jurassic Park 3. I've only seen the first 2. And then we have Jurassic World, which basically I keep with it because, you know, Jurassic World. Still have not watched this because I want to watch the 3rd one first, even though I know this is kind of a, you know, bit of a soft reboot, I guess you could say, but you can still kind of fit it into the continuity. So there we go. And then, well, not strictly Steven Spielberg, but certainly Steven Spielberg inspired, we have Super 8. Well, I guess it's produced by Steven Spielberg, but there you go. And this is a wonderful homage to pretty much all of those great films that I grew up with, you know. Different cover there. There we go. There's a slightly more traditional 80s style cover there. It's quite nice. So I like having both covers there. And yeah, and just before we get into that, I have a couple of honorable mentions. They're not in this section because they're not science fiction. But first up, we have, I've talked about this a number of times, even did a closer look about it. we have Columbo, the complete series. And the reason I mention this is because Steven Spielberg actually started as a television director, and he directed a lot of the early episodes of Columbo. So if you want to kind of get a taste of his early work, check out some Columbo. Plus, Columbo is just a great series, which I've often said many nice things about. And then, I guess he made an impression there because he got the okay to do, I think it was like a movie of the week. And so it was originally a TV movie. It did really well, so then it got an extended theatrical release. We have Dual, which is basically about a businessman on a road trip out in the middle of nowhere, and this mysterious semi-truck starts chasing him everywhere and trying to kill him. And this is the DVD edition, which I basically just kept because it's got this really cool slipcover. And it's got a lot of pretty cool extras on here. Steven Spielberg on making Duel, Steven Spielberg on the small screen, Richard Matheson on the writing of Duel, photo gallery, trailer, production notes, and cast and filmmaker bios. So this is the extended theatrical version, which contains additional material that was not in the televised version. And it recently got a Blu-ray release, which honestly the cover isn't as nice, but hey, it's Blu-ray. It's great to finally be able to see this in high def. And I think this has all of the, this has all the same extras on it as well. It's really cool because Spielberg actually shows how they planned it out. And they actually planned out, rather than doing a storyboard, they actually did a map for what the route was that the main character, Dennis Weaver, would be following and being chased by the truck and such, and where they would end up and sort of where the key events would take place and stuff like that. So it was all mapped out and accurate to the location they were filming. It was pretty cool. Okay, then next up, not Steven Spielberg, but Stephen King. We have, this is basically based on the works of Stephen King. It's not sort of, or it's based on The Colorado Kid, and basically it's quite an expansion of it. So we have Haven, the first season, on Blu-ray. I really need to see the rest of this. I really liked what I saw of this. Basically, I was given this as a gift. My mom actually really liked it and thought I would really dig it. And yeah, I really like what I've seen, and I really need to see the remaining seasons. I think they did 4 seasons total. So, yeah, I definitely got to check out the rest of it there. And next up, we have a little bit of a... Sorry, I'm just going to move that over a little bit. Okay. We have a little bit of a robot section here, which kind of leads into... hold on a second. Let's just move these over. There we go. Which kind of leads into some other stuff here. So first up, we've got Hugh Jackman in Real Steel, or Rock'em Sock'em Robots the movie. This was surprisingly good. Like, when I heard they were doing a movie loosely inspired by Rock'em Sock'em Robots, I was like, seriously? Is there, like, nothing they won't do a movie of nowadays? But, yeah, this was a really pleasant surprise. This is a great movie. And, you know, good family viewing. Seriously, like, watch this with your kids. Any kids who you have who like robots, watch this with them. It's a good time. And this one I actually watched with Rosie, and we both did a Daddy and Rosie review of it. Robot Jaques, which is basically giant robots duking it out in lieu of disputing countries going to war with each other. So quite cool, some really good practical effects in this, and just a lot of fun. And it stars Gary Graham, who some of you may know as the Vulcan ambassador in Enterprise, or possibly, if you're like me, you know him primarily as Detective Sykes in the Alien Nation TV series. And now we have my little section of what I like to call movies based on classic cartoons. So we, of course, have the first of the Transformers, or the Bayformers, as it's unaffectionately called by a lot of viewers. Yeah, the Transformers movies are a bit of a mixed bag for me, honestly. This is the original release with the slipcover, which is quite nice. I find they kind of go against the Star Trek rule. The Star Trek rule with the movies was it tended to be the even-numbered ones, which were the good ones, like 2, 4, 6, and 8. And then they broke it with 10. But with the Transformers, it seems to be the odd-numbered ones that are the better ones. So I actually kind of liked the first one. I thought it was a lot of fun. Second one was definitely a huge step down, and I did a kind of ranty review of it with Annetta a while back. I'm not going to take them all out. This is the big screen edition from Walmart that actually has the IMAX stuff in full 16:9, rather than everything being in CinemaScope aspect ratio. I had to special order this because it was a Walmart exclusive, but a Walmart US exclusive, so it never actually appeared over here. But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to get it, this is the edition to get. And then we have Transformers: Dark of the Moon. This is the first one they did in 3D. So I actually held out for the 3D. The 3D edition was released later, so I kind of held out and waited because I heard that it was coming. So yeah, and I thought this was actually a vast improvement over the second one, and actually felt like almost a proper Transformers movie. Oh my God, there's a lot of callbacks to the cartoon lore and stuff in it, and Leonard Nimoy's even in it and says some of the lines from the old Transformers movie. And then we have Transformers: Age of Extinction, which was a huge disappointment, I think, given all the hype surrounding the Dinobots. I was expecting them to be in it a little more than just the last frickin' 5 minutes of the movie. Very disappointing there. And then we have Transformers: The Last Knight, which, again, I thought was a vast improvement over the fourth one. I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit. So, you know, I mean, these movies still do have their problems, but this one I think is definitely one of the better ones. The new one coming out, Bumblebee, actually looks genuinely good, and it's also notable in that it's the first one not directed by Michael Bay. Maybe that says something. So then we have G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. Yeah, you can see I've gone out of my way to make sure I get the slipcovers with all of these. So this is the 2-disc edition with all the extras. Originally I got the single disc edition and then was informed that I was missing a bunch of stuff, so I tracked this one down. I think I found it used, actually, at like a local used record and movie store. And we got G.I. Joe: Retaliation 3D. This is a really nice slipcover. I really like this lenticular artwork on here of Snake Eyes. It's freaking awesome. It's nearly flawless, like in terms of how the 3D effect works on there. It's really cool. And then we have Gem and the Holograms. Yeah, I waited for this to hit the bargain bins. Probably still paid too much for it. I watched this with Rosie. Both Rosie and I are fans of both the original cartoon and the recent IDW comic series, and we were both curious. We'd both heard bad things about this, and we were both curious to check it out. So we sat down and watched it, and both she and I agreed that they really messed it up. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with this, but it's like a bad Disney movie of the week. It's just horrible. And then we got a couple based on animes here. We've got Speed Racer, the Wachowskis' take on Speed Racer, which I think gets unfairly maligned, honestly, because from what I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I actually watched part of it and just never got around to getting back to it. But from what I saw of it, I mean, it looks like an anime brought to life in live action with spectacular frickin' effects. It's like a live action cartoon. And I don't know what people were expecting going in, but I mean, I think they took it a little too seriously. And I think it looks great, and I look forward to watching the rest of it. And then I got Ghost in the Shell. This is actually the Ultra HD edition. That was the only way to get the Steelbook. Yeah, big fan of the original movies and Standalone Complex. I still haven't got around to watching this, but I will one of these days. And then we're getting into my section of movies based on young adult fiction. So we have Ender's Game, which I actually did quite an extensive video about. Prior to watching the movie, I actually sat down and read the original book because I'd been wanting to read it for a very long time. So I finally read the book, and then I watched the movie, and a few minor issues, but overall I thought it was a pretty decent adaptation of it. I would have liked it to be a little bit longer, though. It kind of felt like some aspects of it were a little bit rushed. I think it could have stood to have like maybe an extra half hour, honestly, of running time, just to kind of flesh things out a little better. But I mean, it hit all the major beats, and I enjoyed it. Sadly, I don't think it did very well, so I doubt we're going to get any of the other books adapted. But yeah, and then after watching that, I actually went and read Ender's Shadow, which is kind of a parallel story that follows the story of Bean, and really enjoyed that as well. I'd say I almost enjoyed it a little bit more than the original. And then we have The Hunger Games, the one that kind of put Jennifer Lawrence on the map. And here we go. I remember when this first came out, a lot of people were complaining that it sounded a little bit too much like another movie that you may have heard of. But yeah, the author of this insisted she had never seen that movie, and any similarities were purely coincidental. How true that is, I don't know. But apparently The Hunger Games does go in some pretty different directions other than the basic concept of the game, which is kind of similar to Battle Royale. But yeah. Also, Battle Royale was one book and two movies technically, but one movie based on the book. And this one expanded it quite a bit beyond that basic concept. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to checking these out. I'm probably going to do like a week-long review series on it at some point. This is part 1 of Mockingjay, and then we have part 2, which wraps it all up, and that is it. And then we have the Divergent series, starting with Divergent. I don't know why, but I didn't get the 3D versions of any of these. I honestly don't know why. I guess because I got the non-3D versions fairly cheap. They were almost all in the bargain bins. That's a pretty cool cover. So we got Insurgent, and then we have Allegiant, and supposedly there was going to be a 4th movie wrapping things up. It got canned, I guess, because this one didn't do very well. So they were talking about doing it as a TV series. I don't know if that's still happening. So we may never have a conclusion to it. I guess if you want to find out what happens, read the books. Then we have The Maze Runner. I really like this one a lot. I'd actually like to check out the books at some point. Very good. I've always liked the idea of people thrown into a situation. I think I talked about this before, where I like the idea of like being in an ancient temple or a maze or something where you have to pitch your wits against some kind of intelligence test or puzzle or what have you. And this is kind of like that. So it has that aspect to it, but also like a post-apocalyptic aspect to it, and it's all kinds of cool stuff. It's just a really neat series that I like a lot. And then we have The Scorch Trials, which is the second one. Definitely expands quite a bit on the story in this one. And then finally, we have the conclusion with The Death Cure. Sorry, everything's falling over. This is not normally how I have everything on the shelf here, but that's okay. So The Death Cure there. I still have to watch this one, but I have watched the first 2, and I really like the series. There we go. Okay, so now we have kind of a little alien invasion section. We've got It Came from Outer Space in 3D. There we go. This was on the bargain racks, and I was like, oh, cool. Classic alien invasion movie and the 3D version included. Score! So, cool stuff. My plans for 3D movies, I have a PS4 now, so I'm actually planning to get a PSVR helmet, because apparently you can watch 3D movies in it. It puts you in like a virtual theater, where it's like you're in a movie theater, and you watch the movie up on the screen, and you can watch 3D movies on it, so it's pretty cool. So here we have a metal pack of War of the Worlds. Oh, I should have put this in my Spielberg section. I completely forgot this was a Spielberg movie. Oh, well. Anyway, just a single disc there. It's kind of a nice addition. I saw this in the theater. I liked most of it. I had a few minor issues with it. Maybe I'll do a review at some point. Then we have Cowboys vs. Aliens. This one's just a lot of fun. This is actually based on a comic book. I would put it in the comic book section, but I don't know. I've got so much stuff in there already. I thought, you know what, the Alien Invasion section is looking a little sparse. Let's just put it in with the Alien Invasion. So, good fun there. And of course, most of you will probably know this. And we got Mars Attacks, Tim Burton's movie adaptation of the Bubblegum cards. Now, the movie is toned down quite a bit from the Bubblegum cards, honestly. The cards were kind of controversial at the time because they're really violent and gory a lot of the time. Whereas this is more kind of tongue-in-cheek and almost a parody of 50s invasion films. And it's a lot of fun. It's got its flaws, but it's fun. And then we got a couple of classic movies here. We got Fantastic Voyage, which I think was the first thing I ever saw Donald Pleasance in. It's where they go inside, they get miniaturized and go inside a human body, and of course, as Donald Pleasance often does in movies that he's in, he goes completely barking mad by the end of it. And my parents said, yeah, he almost always goes crazy by the end of the movies that he's in. And I have noticed that that is kind of true. But I gotta love Donald Pleasance. And finally, we have Forbidden Planet, a very pre-comedy career Leslie Nielsen. This is back when he was just the, serious, dramatic leading man. And, oh my god, the visuals in this are so beautiful. This is such a gorgeous movie. It's like a pulp sci-fi book's painted cover come to life. It's just amazing, amazing stuff. And it's basically a sci-fi take on William Shakespeare's The Tempest. So it's quite heady sci-fi for its time. It's really, really good stuff. And if you've never seen it, check it out. Also features like one of the earliest examples of an all-synthesizer score, which is a pretty big deal. This came out in, 1958, I think? I can't... No, 1956. 1956. So an all-synthesizer score in 1956. And synthesizers wouldn't really kind of start to be used for things until the 60s, so it was very ahead of its time in a lot of ways. And of course, Robbie the Robot. Gotta love Robbie. Alrighty, well, that is it. That was quite a variety of a section here. So we got all the Spielberg stuff. We got some robots. We got some stuff based on cartoons, a couple based on animes, young adult movies, and Alien Invasions, and a couple of classics. So quite a grab bag of stuff there. Alrighty, well, that is it for this edition of the overview. I'll see you next time when we're going to actually take a look at the fantasy section. So yeah, quite a lot of stuff in there. I expect it's going to be another bit of a grab bag. So we'll see you then. Until then, thanks for watching. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors, and sayonara.